It's a story almost too surreal for words. Gene Hackman, the Oscar-winning icon known for roles that drip with grit and intensity, and his longtime wife, Betsy Arakawa, found lifeless in their Santa Fe home. Even more perplexing, the front door was left ajar, security camera footage vanished. Prescription pills lay scattered, and a final, truncated phone call hinted at desperation. Tonight, we break down every facet of this puzzling tragedy, asking if even Hollywood's sharpest star could succumb to an unknowable fate. Few scenes contrast more starkly than an airy, multimillion-dollar adobe estate in picturesque New Mexico and the grim discovery of two beloved individuals inside. Yet that's precisely what happened when a maintenance worker arrived at Gene Hackman's residence on a routine call. Known for meticulously safeguarding his privacy, Hackman would never have left his front door wide open. Yet there it was, slightly ajar, as though inviting a terrible secret to slip out. Calling out produced no response. The worker circled to the front window, peered in and froze. Betsy Arakawa lay on the living room rug, unresponsive, eyes open in a vacant stare. The image shook him so profoundly, he nearly dropped his phone while dialing 911. This ordinary arrival for plumbing checks morphed into a shocking prologue for a mystery that still has no neat resolution. Betsy wasn't famous in her own right, but she was integral to Hackman's post-Hollywood life. She was often described as empathetic and supportive, helping the actor ease into retirement. Some close acquaintances whisper about her silent battles with depression, moments when tears came unbidden or she withdrew for days at a time. However, she rarely aired personal struggles publicly, and the couple guarded their privacy fiercely. Finding Betsy alone on the rug, with no obvious injury or sign of forced trauma, deepened the sense of tragedy. Could it have been a swift medical event? A medication slip? A quiet despair that claimed her without warning? The living room around her was untouched. No overturned lamp or broken glass indicated a struggle. It was as if a switch had flipped, halting her life in a heartbeat. As police proceeded through the house, they found Gene Hackman in a small mudroom typically reserved for storing shoes, coats, and hats. He lay crumpled in a corner, phone still in his hand. At 94, Hackman's advanced age was no secret, nor was his reported history of heart concerns. But to die here in a cramped side room suggested urgency or fear. Perhaps he was trying to step outside and call for help, or struggling to flee something invisible. No forced entry, no sign of a brawl, no blood. Hackman looked as though he'd simply collapsed mid-call. That phone became a focal point in the investigation. Had he dialed 911 or a friend? Did he manage to say anything before succumbing to a crisis? The mudroom setting, so mundane, clashed painfully with the cinematic legacy of a man who once commanded the biggest stages in film. It didn't take long for whispers to spread about an 11-second phone recording capturing Hackman's final words. Though not officially released, leaks indicated he uttered, "I can't breathe. Something's wrong with Betsy." Then silence. Investigators found evidence of a partial call placed around that time, but it never connected to emergency services. The phone still had battery life, ruling out a power failure. More spine-chilling. Alleged background noise of a dog barking. Hackman and Betsy had 3 dogs, yet all were absent when authorities arrived. Did the animals bolt after witnessing something traumatic, or were they removed by an unknown party? That echo of a bark lingers as an eerie footnote in the final attempt Gene Hackman made to reach the outside world. The Hackman Arakawa property, valued around $3.8 million, wasn't merely a home, it was a sanctuary. Plush desert landscaping, southwestern artwork, and a wraparound porch made for postcard-worthy sunsets. Surrounded by high adobe walls, it was hardly a fortress, but it offered both privacy and security cameras. Initially, investigators assumed they'd find a trove of recordings. Yet when they checked the feeds, they found a startling gap. For 36 hours leading up to the tragedy, every camera registered nothing at all. No motion triggers, no footage. Experts scanned the system for malfunctions or hacking attempts, but came away perplexed. Was it a fluke or a deliberate shutdown? In the absence of that evidence, the door was wide open for conspiracies. One that an unseen individual tampered with the system to cloak their visit, or that Hackman or Betsy deactivated the cameras for personal reasons. On the kitchen counter, police found a worrisome sight. multiple prescription bottles, some label for Hackman's heart medication, others for Betsy's antidepressants, plus a handful of unidentified pills. Toxicology eventually revealed both had substances in their system consistent with recent ingestion, but pinpointing an exact lethal agent proved inconclusive. Did Betsy accidentally overdose or intentionally consume extra pills? Could Hackman, in a desperate moment, have taken something as well? Since both were elderly and dealing with health challenges, an accidental overdose scenario loomed large. Yet the unlabeled capsules complicated the picture. Without an easy explanation for their presence, rumors of foul play blossomed. Did a third party slip in something deadly? Officially, police found no sign of forced ingestion, but the speculation was enough to fill tabloids for weeks. For such a grim scene, the Hackman home was oddly serene. Dinnerware was out, suggesting a meal plan or partially in progress. The living room, aside from Betsy's form, appeared undisturbed. No drawers rifled through, no valuables missing, no toppled furniture. If it was foul play, it was executed with extraordinary precision. If it was a mutual decision to die, no note or final arrangement indicated such a pact. Friends who visited the property in the past remarked on its peaceful vibe. Gene might be reading while Betsy prepared a light supper. That snapshot of normalcy only underscores the abrupt horror of both lying dead in different rooms. How quickly life can pivot from daily routines to unimaginable tragedy. Bear, Nikita, and Xena were the Hackman's beloved pets, frequently seen trotting around the estate's garden. Typically, if something catastrophic happened, dogs might bark frantically or remain near their owners. Yet by the time officials arrived, the animals were gone. Neighbors reported no sightings. The property gates were closed, and no sign of forced exit was found. So where did they go? One theory suggests they bolted to the open front door of Hackman, or Betsy left a jar for help. Another posits a third party removed them. A few claim to have seen a dog matching Bear's description on a nearby road, but nothing concrete ever emerged. The dog's disappearance added another puzzle piece no one could place. Gene Hackman was legendary for his on-screen confidence and off-screen meticulousness. Even in his younger years, colleagues noted his preference for control of scripts, lighting, and especially personal security. During retirement, he reportedly double-checked locks and alarm systems each night, conscious of fame and occasional intrusion attempts from curious fans. That's why the open door signaled something drastically amiss. Did he open it in a final effort to call for help? Did Betsy, in distress, forget to lock up? Or did an unknown visitor walk away, leaving that door ajar? 1. Door ajar. Why would a cautious Hackman leave it open? 2. Missing dogs. Did they flee or were they taken? 3. Unlabeled pills, innocuous vitamins, or a toxic agent. 4. Camera blackout, tampering or freak malfunction. 5. No signs of struggle, yet 2 people lay dead. 6. Final phone call, 11 seconds, then nothing. 7. Betsy's depression. Did it spiral into tragedy? 8. Hackman's heart. Did shock alone stop it? 9. Accidental overdose. Or something darker? 10. Security versus confusion. Why no standard alarm triggers? Santa Fe investigators concluded no forced entry, no ransom note, no evidence of physical violence. Preliminary toxicology pointed toward medication interactions or overdose for Betsy. Hackman's advanced heart condition likely set the stage for a fatal collapse under stress. Without signs of the crime, the case trended toward medical misfortune, possibly triggered by confusion or despair. Yet the vanished security footage, stray pills, and incomplete phone call remain a trifecta of unanswered riddles. You can't keep Hollywood's rumor mill idle, especially when A-listers' unexplained death. Tabloids suggested everything from a secret enemy to a hush-hush scandal. One outlandish theory claimed Hackman possessed inside knowledge on an industry deal gone wrong, prompting a staged murder. Another insisted the couple entered a pact to die peacefully. With no proof, these remain conspiracies, but they thrive in the vacuum left by official silence and partial evidence. Hackman's passing alone would have rocked the film community. His near 50-year career reshaped American cinema's portrayal of gritty realism. Add the disturbing circumstances, and the tragedy ignited an outpouring of tributes. Fans posted clips from A French Connection or Superman, recalling lines delivered with trademark intensity. Colleagues praised his raw authenticity, lamenting the heartbreak that overshadowed his final chapter. Meanwhile, glimpses of Betsy's supportive role came to the forefront, though less public. She was said to be the calming force behind Hackman's formidable persona, the anchor that let him walk away from Hollywood on his own terms. That anchor slipped beneath the waves with her sudden death. Relocating to Santa Fe afforded Hackman a respite from paparazzi. But isolation brings risks, especially for older couples. If Betsy's depression surged, she might have lacked immediate help. If Gene's heart gave out, who could respond fast enough? Many observed that a more populated area might have produced a quicker 911 call or a neighbor's timely intervention. Did the same quiet they loved become their downfall? Medical experts note a phenomenon. When one spouse experiences a dire health event, the other can suffer a sudden catastrophic response, be it a stroke, heart attack, or mental shock. In older couples, grief or horror can spike blood pressure and stress hormones, especially if one has existing cardiac issues. This could explain a double tragedy. Betsy is struck first. Gene tries to help, and his heart fails under extreme duress. The scenario is heartbreakingly mundane, yet chillingly plausible. Did the couple share any hints of looming danger? A neighbor recalled seeing Hackman walking the dogs earlier that week, looking tired but cheerful. Another friend said Betsy recently appeared distracted during a quick grocery run, though not alarmingly so. Without a specific trigger, no one sounded an alarm. Sometimes tragedies unfold abruptly, with no foreshadowing except the quiet swirl of private struggles behind closed doors. Could a third party have orchestrated everything? The door, the missing camera footage, the scattered pills, some point to a stealthy break-in. Yet police found no pried windows, no rummaged valuables, no sign of forced contact. If foul play occurred, it was meticulously invisible. Most investigators deem it unlikely, given the evidence. Still, a handful of believers in a hidden culprit persist. That's the curse of partial narrative. If official answers fall short, the imagination spins. For many, the dog's disappearance is the story's strangest twist. Pets often remain near owners in distress or bark frantically if something is amiss. Instead, they vanish without a trace. One theory holds that Hackman flung the door open for them to escape if he couldn't protect them. Another posits they dashed out in terror, wandering Santa Fe's outskirts. Still, nobody reported finding them. In a bizarre turn, they become ghosts of the final hours. Close relatives, in a brief statement, express grief over losing Gene and Betsy. We ask for privacy in this unimaginable time. We remember them as loving souls who deserved a kinder end. The quiet hush around further details suggests the family, too, grapples with unanswerable questions. Even if toxicology indicates an accidental overdose, the final phone call and absent footage leave room for doubt and sorrow. Law enforcement eventually wrapped up the investigation, citing no evidence of homicide. The coroner's report highlighted probable medication misadventure and a fatal cardiac event. With that, official interest waned, though public fascination soared. Some press outlets moved on, while niche sites and conspiracy forums keep the story alive, dissecting every rumor for hidden truth. Gene Hackman's legacy transcends this tragedy. His storied career shaped generations of actors who admired his intensity, his refusal to phone in a performance. Betsy, though never a star, was a mainstay in his final decades, urging him to slow down, savor each day. Their bond, once lauded by friends, ended in heartbreak that underscores a universal truth. No one, not even a Hollywood giant, is immune to precarious nature of life. Their story is a wake-up call about the fragility of routine. In the blink of an eye, a quiet dinner can become a last supper, an open door, a missing dog, an unanswered call. Each becomes a haunting symbol of how quickly everything can unravel. If you have elderly or isolated loved ones, check in. Ask about medications, mental health, or safety measures. These small efforts can mean the difference between well-being and irreversible tragedy. Ultimately, the official explanation is that Betsy likely succumbed to a medication mishap, and Gene's frail heart couldn't withstand the shock. Yet the missing camera footage, mysterious pills, and unanswered phone call keep curiosity alive. Was it merely a cruel roll of fate? Could a single detail flip the narrative? We might never know. But we do know Gene Hackman left behind a cinematic legacy few can match, and Betsy Arakawa memory of kindness and loyalty. Their final chapter, filled with unresolvable riddles, reminds us that behind every legend stands a human being, capable of mistakes, heartbreak, and unseen vulnerabilities. If that makes us pause and connect more deeply with those in our own lives, perhaps some sliver of good can emerge from this dark puzzle. Until then, we honor their memory and accept that some mysteries remain just out of reach.